Welcome to this explainer. Today we are unpacking a really fascinating report about a highly debated incident at a Swiss nudist pool. It's a story that perfectly captures this modern clash we're seeing between traditional public spaces and new bureaucratic laws. From a local dispute to absolute international headlines, let's break down exactly what happened and, more importantly, why.
To understand how this all unfolded, here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the nudist pool incident itself. 2. The police intervention. 3. The city's official apology. 4. Defining the admission criteria. And finally, number 5, we'll look at the broader Swiss gender laws.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the nudist pool incident.
Now, Switzerland is generally known around the globe for its precise details and order, right? But on this particular Sunday afternoon, right in the middle of a sweltering European heatwave, things went entirely off script. Tensions started rising at a female-only nudist pool in Bern when several bathers took serious issue with another sunbather in their restricted space.
To get to the root of the complaint, we can look straight at this quote from the Swiss Broadcasting Corporation. They reported, "The person concerned had not been perceived as female by other bathers due to certain physical characteristics." Now, the report notes that those specific physical characteristics were left out of the official documentation, basically leaving the public to read between the lines.
Which brings us to Section 2, the police intervention and removal. Just look at how rapidly this sequence of events escalated. First, on that Sunday, bathers complained to the staff. Shortly after, the sunbather flat out refuses their requests to leave. Moments later, the police are called in to handle the alleged trespasser. And finally, after a pretty dramatic removal and a 2-hour police interview, the entire situation is forced into a major reassessment. But before we get to that reassessment, I want to point out this number. 6. The report highlights that it ultimately took 6 police officers to wrestle the naked individual to the ground just to remove them. And the commentator suggests this intense physical resistance likely only fueled the other bathers' initial perceptions. So the dust settles. You have an individual forcibly removed by 6 officers, followed by an extensive 2-hour police interview. This forces the city to answer one very pressing question. Who was actually at fault here? Was it the naked individual refusing to leave, or was it the officers who removed them? Well, the answer led to a highly surprising bureaucratic pivot.
Let's look at Section 3, the city's official apology.
Here is where the story takes a massive U-turn. The city officially concluded that it was actually the police, not the trespasser, who made the mistake. Despite the physical characteristics and despite the resistance requiring 6 officers to handle, they ruled this trans woman had every legal right to be in that female-only space.
To clarify their position, the city of Bern actually issued an official apology regretting the removal. Their exact wording was, "All persons who identify as female and live as such are granted access." So, according to the city, the individual at the pool simply met their specific admission criteria.
Moving right along to Section 4, defining that admission criteria.
The Sky News commentator takes a really critical look at how these self-ID rules complicate everyday law enforcement. Notice the stark contrast they draw here. On the left, traditionally, if a male exposes himself to women, it justifies an immediate arrest for indecent exposure. On the right, the new bureaucratic reality, if someone with male physical characteristics exposes themselves but tells police they identify as a woman, the city calls the arrest a mistake. For all of us watching, it raises a genuine question about how communities are supposed to navigate subjective identities versus objective laws.
City officials released another statement addressing the chaotic scene, saying the tense atmosphere led to this misjudgment of the situation. Now, the host of the source report makes a really sharp distinction here. The officials are not saying the women at the pool misjudged the sunbathers' physical characteristics. Rather, the police and the staff misjudged the legally protected situation.
And finally, Section 5, Swiss gender identity laws.
To truly understand why that police action was deemed a misjudgment, we have to zoom out and look at this crucial legal definition. In most of Switzerland, anyone aged 16 and older can change their legal gender simply by self-declaration at a civil registry. Boom. That's the mechanism that takes a highly emotional physical event at a pool and anchors it purely in objective bureaucratic rules.
The source report definitely didn't hold back when critiquing this law, heavily leaning on sarcasm to frame it as, quite frankly, absurd. The commentator actually compared this self-ID criteria to calling an unlocked door a security system, arguing it offers absolutely no real boundary.
After joking that Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman was basically a prophecy for Swiss pools, the core critique really crystallizes. Western bureaucracies have taken the incredibly simple concept of women only and needlessly complicated it.
But despite this heavy media critique, the official municipal response remains steadfast. The Times reported that Swiss authorities have pledged to clarify these self-identification rules to all pool staff to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. The city officials essentially doubled down, reiterating their explicit commitment to fostering an inclusive community that firmly opposes discrimination.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We've seen the timeline, the intense police action, the city's apology, and the media's really sharp critique. As we wrap up this explainer, we're left to ponder this pretty provocative question. When subjective self-declaration meets objective physical public spaces, how can bureaucracies clearly define the rules without creating conflict? It's a question that goes way, way beyond a single pool in Bern. It really touches on how modern societies everywhere are trying to navigate the intersection of personal identity and public policy. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this helped you better understand the complex layers right behind the headlines.